and you're going to be watching my very first PC build. So if I can do it, you can do it. So it's going to be a fairly long video explaining everything that I'm doing, even though you may not get the same parts as mine. So yeah, I'm pretty much ready to start my PC build. You'll have an idea of the basic 8 components to build your PC. I'm going to show you a quick glance of my PC parts that I'm using: the X99 MSI motherboard, and then I went with the EVGA GeForce GTX 970. It's been perfectly fine, I love it. EVGA Supernova 1050 watt. I opted for way too much. But then we got the Ripjaws G Skills. It's 32 gigabyte for my build here. I love the look of it. We got the Intermax Liquid Max cooler for the CPU, and then we got the Samsung VNAND SSD 950 Pro, which is one of the fastest SSD cards you can get right now. That's what I'm aware of. And for my CPU, I went with the Intel Core i7 processor, which is the 5820K, which is overclockable. And of course, at number 8 is your PC tower, your case. And if you want to see me unboxing all these parts, I'll have all the links in the description down below, so you can click on it and watch them and hear what I have to say about it. Everything I bought was off of Newegg or Amazon. Now that I got that out of the way, let's get to the building, shall we? Grab your motherboard box. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is start putting in the face plate for the back. This is the I/O shield here. So we're going to go inside here. There you go. The next thing I'm going to be doing is using the motherboard. I'm going to try to use the box as a bench. Okay, so the next step is the motherboard, the CPU, and the water coolant. Now this is where the CPU is going to go in at, the CPU socket. This hinge one, undo the second one here. So now we have a flap, and we'll have to open it up. Make sure you don't touch the pins at all, because you don't want them bending one bit. Let's take a look at the CPU. Grab it from the sides. Don't try to touch the innards. There's a little arrow indication right there in the corner. So this goes only one way. There's the arrow on the right top. It's kind of upside down. Put this on. There's little innards right here, little sockets of cutouts which will match. And I'm going to set it on top. Don't jiggle it in. Just set it on it. And it should fit just like that. Just didn't have to force it. It just sat in there perfectly. You close the lid. Make sure this little clip is gonna squeeze that. It's already popping off here. It'll supposed to come off. Let's push this in there. And it is feeling a little force. So that's, there we go. Now that's clipped. And then we'll do the second side. And it does, and there we go. So now we're fully installed with the CPU. So the next step is going to try to fit the CPU cooler on top of my CPU. So this is the part list of what you're going to need. The mounting hardware, which has a lot of stuff in it. Pour it out. Power cables. For this motherboard, I will not be using this. So these 4 screws are going to be going into the CPU and the back plate that I'll be tying in with. So I'm going to put 4 of these on the side, small side down, screw it in. So now that we have all 4 in, finger tight, I didn't go aggressively on it, just enough to tighten on it. Okay, next I'm going to grab the block here. I'm going to start moving the protective stickers. I'm not going to touch anything on the inside because I want to keep it as clean as possible. And we're going to be cleaning the CPU before applying this block for the thermal paste. So I got a just regular alcohol wipe here. I'm only cleaning the CPU because I touched it, because I don't want my finger grease to be on it. So here I'm going to open up my Arctic grease. It comes with its own, but I wanted to step it up and get a better paste, better compound. Alright, so here I'm going to give it a little goop here around this much. That might have been a little bit too much, but that's all I need. I have to figure out which way you want to set it. This is where the radiator on the right is, and I'm going to set this on. There it goes. That one side to 2 sides, 4 sides in. Alright, so as the squishing down begins. And now I'm going to use these spring-loaded screws here. They're going to go on. Start screwing them. They're spring-loaded so that you don't over-tighten. So I'm now tightening it down hand. And then you crisscross it where you just tighten one side, go to the other side. Good. The CPU cooler right here, the water pump, we're going to go into the CPU fan 2. And this is a 3-pin, and there we go. So the next thing is installing the fans for the water cooler. Alright, so now we're going to be paying attention to the arrows on top of here. The airflow is going to go from the radiator out into the fans. So it's going to be sucking through the radiator. Alright, so I am going to move them this way this time, because that's what I need them to do. The cable going towards the CPU, I'm a little tight spaced here with the hoses in the way, but I'm going to be putting, you see this cord's going down it. For cable management, I'm going to bend it over this side, bring in the second fan, it's pointing already down, so this will lock up there. Cables will meet in the middle for cable management. So now I'm going to be putting 8 of these screws on the fans. I'm not going to tighten them all yet. I'm not going to over screw because we don't want to break or crack the radiator. I'm just using my tips, and that's all I'm going to be tightening it with. And I am comfortable with that, and they're not moving. Alright, so now I'm going to use this 2-in-1 cable. I'm going to stick these in here, and these will go to CPU fan 1. Yeah, so this one has 4, so we can just slide it in. Alright, so next I'm going to be installing the RAM, and it'll be in quad channel mode, which is the outside from the CPU is 1, and we're going to skip 2, and we're going to go on 3. There's 4 of them. I'm going to do 1, skip 3. We're going to go 1, skip 3. The RAM has a longer side and a short side, so they will only go one way. So we're going to pull one side of the pin out, and we're going to do this. These are the only ones we're going to use. Short side is down the motherboard. I'm going to put the left side down first. Press them in until it clicks. There we go. If I want to push down, this thing will kind of want to clip itself in, and we're in. It needs to go all the way flush to the RAM. We're going to do the same for the third line. There we go. That clicked, and that goes flush to it. On this side, the short side is going up the board. We're still doing the same thing though. Putting it on the third. Down. There we go. Locked. Last one. First one, you know how I opened it up. So I knew which ones that were going to go on. We are in, like planned. So the next part, I'm going to be installing the GPU. There's a little rubber protection here. There we go. And this is where the PCI Express will be hooking up to. So we're not trying to bend or push any of the circuits. Grab it from the outside here. Okay, so I'm going to be putting it on the first one here. Open up that clip. I'm going to set it in there. I'm going to push. I heard it click. And we're locked and loaded. Okay, so I opted with a 10,050 watt power supply unit. I'm not going to have to use all these cords because they're meant for other GPUs. So the 24 pin is going to the motherboard. This is going to the power supply. It's one cord. This one going to the CPU. And then we have these ones from the GPU to the PSU for the power supply. These are all extras for like hooking up hard drives or extra GPUs. And I still got another bag right here of a lot more cables. So this is obviously going to fit in here because it's the biggest port for it. And this will go on the top MB here. That's going to be going to the motherboard. So the next one I'm going to be doing is PSU. It's right next to the motherboard. Plug in. And now this is the PSU to PCI. So I'm going to put the PSU side, do it on VGA 5, which is okay. And then we're going to do the PSU side for the next cord. Same thing. And these are all the power we'll need. Okay, so I'm going to grab the 24 pin and start putting into this port. There we go. I'm going to start off with the closest one to the motherboard and plug it into JPWR2. Okay, the next one here has a split. 2 is for the GPU. There's 1, and I have to put this one in there. I just noticed that I don't need the 3rd slot. I can do it all on this one cable. Let's move it to the side and plug that in. 8 and 6 pin to the GPU. Okay, so I have everything plugged in to get power right now. So I'm going to flip the switch. There's a power button. My lights flickered. Alright, so the system is perfectly working. I am good to go to put this in a case. Alright, so now I'm going to have to make room. Case here. Alright, time to put this sucker in. The left side. Okay, let me set this a little bit here. Grab from the CPU. And I'm gonna match it right there. There you go. And now the screws. So now, we got some tie downs, but there's 3 types of screws in here. Little tiny threads, and the other one has bigger threads. So here are the bigger threads, flat heads. Screws. Start off with this. We gotta make sure we absolutely do not scratch anything off the motherboard. 3 screws on so far. And there's 6, 7, and 8. So now the motherboard is in and not moving out of place. Now the radiator go here. I'm screwing in the water cooler screws into the case. I'm going to do all 8 screws. Alright. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to be taking off 2 of these spots of slots. 1. And 2. Alright, so now put the GP. Because there's a gap between the CPU and the case. I'm going to try to fit that behind it. Okay, so that's going to land perfectly in there. I'm going to push until I hear the click. There you go. We're going to fasten the GPU with the same. Alright, so I'm tightening this screw here. There we have it. We're good. So now we're going to do the SSD. So here's my solid state drive. Found a screwdriver that would take this little tiny screw out. Tiny. And I'm going to slit this inside. There we go. Back on the little tiny screw head. There you go. Look at this first timer do it to it. Next, we're going to be putting the PSU. Okay, now we're going to take off these 4. Go. The ones that came in this little bag are the one for the PSU. Alright, so now I'm going to be putting this. Alright, so now the face plate is on there hand tight, and the fan will be pointing down on the case, and these will be fitting in there. Take off this sticker on the expose the shiny. I'm actually going to stand the case now. Ooh, definitely heavy. Okay, I'm going to pulling these cables out, and now tighten these. So now we got this exposed. Power on, power off, and all the ports lined up perfect. So on the back, You can see we have all the PSU cables sticking out. It's only 3 major ones that will be hooking back up to the motherboard. The GPU, motherboard, the cooler. Alright, I'm going to pull up the GPU cable through the first port. The power supply is. Okay, now I'm going to bring this through the back. Yeah, CPU 8 pin. There we go. Plugged in my CPU. Okay, putting the 24 pin for the power supply of the motherboard. Now, there we go. Plugged in. I'm going to plug in the GPU now. In like that. Okay. That's it. Cables are all in the back. Okay, now that I got it all inside, cable management, perfect. First timer. So you can see the back right here is how it doesn't have a lot of cables everywhere. Fix it and manage it later, but I just want to show you that these back ones will be needing to be plugged in to your motherboard, so I'll have to flip these back in there. Yeah. Alright, I forgot how to put the Molex in here, which is going to be powering the fans. There you go. I'm going to plug this in the back of the PSU. Alright, plugged. Okay, now these cables. Now this is the next part I'm going to be using. I'm going to be separating these tiny ones. Power reset switch. Activity LED. So they are labeled, and I want to put the HD. Alright, I'm going to put the plus one on the bottom behind it, and then the minus right on top of it. The power switch is next, right behind it, and insert. There we go. We're plugged in. I'm going to put in the USB 3.0 inside here because I'll be plugging it into the motherboard, but I'll just tuck it in there for right now. Just the little LED ones will go underneath by the GPU, and then the audio. I'm gonna put this under right here by the PS. Yeah, I still have to, zip tie them a little bit better, but I'm just gonna go ahead and flip the case. Okay, so I'm gonna do the USB. Okay, so there is a pin that you will have to plug it in. Plugged in. Okay, and the audio cable. Okay, now there's a J audio, and it does matter where the pin goes. There's a flat, empty space. There we go. Perfect. And then the little tiny LED ones. It's going to be on JFP1. There we go. Fully plugged. Plug this in just to... There's a switch on. I'm going to hit the power on the case. There we go. Things are spinning. Feel air. Air. Yep. Okay. Turn it off. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little bit of cable management here. Things going to be pulled at its good portion. Not going to be tugging and breaking any pins. Looks clean, right? So pretty much all the rest of the stuff that I have here is extra parts. I won't need every single one of them. We got these little zip ties here that we're going to want to tie things together. I mean, you don't really need to because it's kind of hidden back there, but you want your case in the back to shut, right? So we're going to have to fix it up. It doesn't have like a lot where it's messy, as long as it's going to close the lid. Alright, let's hope that this portion right there is not too fatty, but let's try it. Okay, which way does... Yeah, it's good. And there we have it. Looks clean enough. Cables are out of the way. Nothing's hitting the fans. And now I can remove the sticker from the GPU. Everybody loves that sound. Except I'm not doing a very good job at taking it off. And we are finito. We're so close. Sealing this guy off. This is the inside of the plexi. And I'll remove the outside one later. Ooh, nice. And then, okay, I'm gonna put the filter here, and then the top of the lid and the bottom of the lid are open, so air can travel in and out from the bottom and top. We are completely sealed up, ready to put some Windows 10 and run its BIOS and overclocking because I'm told to overclock this. And there you go, my first official and only build I've ever done. I'm excited to run this beast. And that's it. There's a lot of other stuff here on my desk that I don't need, but I'm going to store for later time use in case I need them. But this is a complete build right now as my very first PC. Alright.
But remember, you still have to install the software now that you got the hardware in. I went with Windows 10. I've been editing and running games on this PC for the last 2 months, and I just barely finished editing this video, but at least I can tell you 2 months in that it's been running perfectly fine. It renders so much faster, all the games run top notch. But I'm very happy with my build. It is an expensive one, at least for me at $1,600, but there you guys have it. Thank you for watching, and as always, I will see you guys next time. Later.